Let's talk about why Israel keeps murdering Palestinians at the aid distribution centers, or at food points, as The Guardian is calling it. So, we've seen for basically 3 or 4 consecutive days that Israel has murdered Palestinians at the food distribution sites that Israel set up themselves. So, on Sunday, we saw 31 people being murdered by Israel. On Monday, we saw apparently 3, but I think the number's higher, people being murdered by Israel. On Tuesday, we saw 27 people being murdered by Israel. And then on Wednesday, we saw people being murdered by Israel, but there was a bit of confusion in the reporting, at least here in the West, whether that was at a food distribution point or it was somewhere else they murdered them. They still murdered them. But why they're using the food distribution points specifically. So if we're just looking at this image here, this image is showing the food distribution point. And as you can see here, these little roads, it is basically forcing Palestinians in a very narrow area to get in to get the food, which is something that no humanitarian aid thing would do in an area that is actively being colonized and bombed, because why? It makes the people targets. And that's what Israel is doing. Palestinians are quashed into this very small area, and Israeli soldiers are open firing in them, killing as many people as they can as possible. If we just scroll down a bit, Israel's excuse for this is it's here, isn't it? The IDF says suspects failed to retreat after a warning fire, and additional shots were directed near a few individual suspects who advanced towards the troops, which is just like bullshit. It's like they are deliberately shooting all of these people. Like, we have the footage of it. The soldiers are picking off people who are desperate for food. The GFF or GFM, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which was something just Israel cooked up themselves, have suspended the giving out of food. And they already weren't giving out any food. They were barely giving any out. I think, again, prior to Israel's invasion of Gaza, Gaza needed 500 trucks. And since then, they probably need over 1,000 trucks, even more. And the GHF barely delivers like 100 a day, and even then, when they've been delivered, they've not been distributed either. So like delivers about 100 and distributes less than that. So people weren't getting any food regardless, and they don't know how to do it. That's why the CEO left the day before the distributions were meant to start, because he was like, this doesn't make any sense. What Israel is doing makes no sense. And this guy was recruited by Israel to do it, so they clearly thought he would just do it. And then he was just like, oh my god, none of this makes sense. What's going on? So Israel isn't just shooting people as well, they're also firing tanks and artillery at the people who are just trying to get food, because they stopped the UN doing it. And the UN isn't perfect, UNRWA isn't perfect, none of the NGOs are perfect, but at least they've had the experience in distributing food. They've had the experience in giving people to food and know how to do it in an appropriate and safe manner. Here is there are tens of thousands of people waiting to get to a very limited amount of parcel food, so there was a rush, there was no system. They had just opened the gates and tell people to go. The mechanism excludes older people, women with children, the sick, people with disabilities. It's very clear Israel set this thing up to be like, let's make it as difficult as possible for them to get food. Let's create a divide within the people. Let's make it difficult, and we can just say we've given food. The United States is leading into doing this. They've done this whole disinformation thing that even the BBC has rightfully called them out for, because the BBC were the ones being criticized. The United States are trying to like masquerade this as like a win for Israel because it's their colony. But even though Israel set up the food to be distributed so poorly so people didn't get food and so people would starve, they're also deliberately shooting people at these aid distribution centers so that when inevitably the UN or the NGOs are able to go back in to distribute the food, Palestinians have it ingrained in them that going to get food is scary. Going to get food could result in death. You know, even just now, if the GHF continue to give out the food, Palestinians will link it with will my child get murdered? Will I get murdered? Will my loved one get murdered? Is it worth going to get food? So then they're encouraging Palestinians to starve themselves. They're trying to break the spirit of the Palestinian people, because if you can break their spirit, you can get them to voluntarily evacuate Gaza, basically make it easier to ethnically cleanse Gaza, something they'd probably want to do in the West Bank as well. So Israel is trying to psychologically break the Palestinian people. This is something that colonizers do all the time, particularly the United States. They try and psychologically break the people they're trying to colonize or the people they're trying to oppress and exploit. So they're going to try and break the souls of the Palestinians, make it so they are even so scared to even eat. So then they're just like, I just need to leave here. And then Israel can play it off as well, hey guys, they decided to leave. We didn't force them out. We didn't ethnically cleanse them. We just said, hey, if you want food, you can leave. And they can try and get away with it. You know, it's all a PR game to them. That's all they care about. They don't care about the human beings. It's just they want them. Actively, they'd want to kill them. Like, it's very clear from the things Israeli politicians and the Israeli populace say, they would be so happy to murder Palestinians en masse. It's just that will probably be a little bit too far for the West. You know, Germany and the US would probably be okay with it, for sure. France might be like, guys, that's a bit much, don't you think? The UK would be like, that's a bit much, you know. I know we did it ourselves, but it's a bit much when you do it. Australia will probably be like, that's a bit much, lads. But Germany, the US, they'd probably be like, that's A-okay, it's fine. We do it. We did it all the time in our history anyway. We still do it. So that's why Israel is doing this, why Israel is shooting these aid distribution sites, because the aid distribution sites they themselves set up. It's clear that Israel is doing this to link food with fear, to make it so Palestinians are broken, to break their souls, so that when inevitably the UN, UNICEF, UNRWA, World Food Kitchen, etc. are able to get food to Palestinians. Palestinians are like, I can't do it. What if I get shot at by Israel again? What if my loved one gets murdered? I can't send them to go and get food. I can't leave them because I can't leave them without a parent or without a child or something. They want to psychologically break the Palestinian people. That's what Israel has always done. Their priority is destroying the souls of Palestinians, because that's what they do. That's, you know, CIA wanted to do it. Their whole goal was to destroy people. If you read the Shock Doctrine, it goes into great detail about how the United States funded research into just breaking the souls of people, breaking the minds of people. And it's what Israel is trying to do in Gaza. It's what they're trying to do it's what they've been doing to the Palestinians for 70 years. The Palestinians are just so incredibly strong in the fact that they will refuse to be broken. That's why we need to do things to help them. We need to force our governments to do something by any means necessary, really, by hook or by crook. We need to, you know, get something done. The Freedom Flotilla going. Those people are at risk of being murdered en masse by Israel, but they are going to do it because that's all. It's clear our leaders don't give a shit. We need to be the ones to give a shit. And, you know, donating, protesting, boycotting, direct action. Again, anyone who does direct action, I am just like my hat off to them, because they are doing something so many people, myself included, are scared to do. You know, with our governments cracking down on humans being allowed to care about other humans, it is like, it's a testament to those people. Do what you can to just help the people in Palestine, help people doing things to help Palestine, because God, man, it's so blatantly clear what they're doing, and it's the propaganda game is what is being played by Israel and its allies.